organizing this event. It is a fantastic opportunity to get all the candidates in front of you, to give you a chance to hear us before you have to make a great decision in June. And so I want to say congratulations on becoming a delegate. I've run 4 times and lost 4 times. I could win a countywide race and a statewide race, but I could never win my delegate race. I'll say that I'm in a group with a bunch of popular people, and I just was never the popular kid. But I don't know. Anyways, I know that it's a big deal to be a delegate, and so I just want to say congratulations if you won. There were 2,400 people running for 1,800 spots, and you guys are the lucky ones. As he mentioned, I'm the state auditor. State auditor doesn't audit in Indiana. We're like the comptroller or the chief financial officer for the state. So I get to pay all the employees. We have 30,000 of them, and we're switching our payroll this week. Our whole system is switching, so you can tell I'm a little nervous on how that's going to go. We're calculating tonight. And then we pay all the bills, we do the accounting and reporting, and we work with local governments. I was the former Allen County auditor. When I got this job, I got to take over for Suzanne Crouch in 2017. When she became lieutenant governor, when the lieutenant governor, Eric Holcomb, became governor, when the governor, Mike Pence, became the vice president. So I was in that domino effect. And so I ran in 18 for my own 4-year term. I was at the 2018 convention with Connie and Kelly down in Evansville, and I'm running for my last term, my second and last term. I love term limits, and I love my job. I don't want to take much of your time. You have a lot of other contested races for state treasurer and secretary of state so that you can hear from them tonight. But I just wanted to come, introduce myself, say I look forward to working with you and appreciate all the work you're doing. In this first district, to elect a Republican to the U.S. Congress for the first time in 9 years, I'm super excited for all the work that you're doing. So I will be back here. I want to be helping Jennifer any way I can. I'm excited for the opportunities we have, and so thank you very much.
Thank you all. It's so good to be back in Lake County. My name is Diego Morales, U.S. Army veteran, running for Indiana Secretary of State. And also, I am a proud deplorable. Because if we don't protect our elections right now, we will have a country soon. I am going to be the defender and the protector of our elections. How? By cleaning the voter rolls, the voter file list. How? By creating the very first mobile Secretary of State's office so we can crisscross all 92 counties, giving the tools and resources to our county clerks. If they need any training. I'm proposing to sign the very first MOU with the BNB so we can get that data, because we know there are non-citizens trying to vote in Indiana, and that is why I've been proposing proof of citizenship. I've been asking that. Many of you have heard me say that before, since day one. We need to limit absentee ballots. Absentee ballots should be only for a few instances. My job will be to encourage all of you to get to the polls on election day, not election month. We have 28 days to vote. Respectfully, it's too much. We need to cut that in half at least. But however, if you must request an absentee ballot because you're serving in the military, because you're in the hospital, it is my idea that you need to attach a copy of your photo ID or driver license when requesting an absentee ballot. Your last 4 digits, respectfully, is not enough. We need to do more. We need to strengthen voter ID laws. Every single American should show their IDs at the polls. We need to prevent ballot harvesting. I am proposing to create the very first election task force committee so we can investigate issues. For example, last week, I was in San Joseph County. The Democrats, they were trying to copy several keys where they store our absentee ballots. We cannot let that happen. We need to create investigators in that office. When people are passing out water and food at the polls, is that legal? So we need to investigate that. You said, Diego, that's great. Are you qualified to do the job? I've been a poll worker. Long hours, long days, and I'm going to focus on recruiting poll workers for all of you. Number two, I've been an international election observer on presidential elections overseas, so I went to other countries to oversee their elections to North. I've been endorsed by other secretaries of state. For example, the Kentucky Secretary of State has endorsed me. I've been in business, in the property management service, in the staffing industry. That's how I pay the bills. That's how I bring food on the table. That's how I pay $4.60 crisscrossing all 92 counties, thanks to Biden, right? Actually, I'm well educated. I went to Indiana University for my education, got my MBA at Purdue, and then I left. I went to study postgraduate education at some of the best business schools in the world, in Germany, the Netherlands, Hungary, Brazil, Mexico, even in China. And you know what I learned? That the Chinese are true communists. We don't want them. Now, I came to America to give, to contribute, to serve, not to be a burden, not to take advantage of you. My wife, Sidonia, which by the way, I married up, she makes me look good. She came from Eastern Europe. She grew up in the middle of communism and socialism. She is my biggest supporter because we cannot let Indiana and America to become a communist, socialist country. We cannot. You see, it's never been about me or my family. It's always been about you, the people. I could have stayed on the sidelines, stay home tonight, perhaps grab a cold beer in my hand. Now I cannot even drink because I get accused that I'm an alcoholic. But I'm doing this because I believe this is my calling. I'm 100% pro-life, pro-Second Amendment, pro-traditional marriage, pro-business. And the book of Esther says, at such a time as this, and I believe at such a time as this, I have a story, I have a unique story to tell to protect our elections. It is the highlight of my career, serving in the United States military. When I went to enlist in the US Army, I had a green card in my wallet. I was not even a US citizen. And I was asked, Morales, are you registered to vote? And I said, I'm not. Why? Well, I'm not a US citizen yet. They have break the law. So it took me almost 10 years to become a naturalized citizen. I was at the back of the line, proving to everyone who I am, get the right to vote and the title to be an American. You see, most of you here probably are born and raised in the greatest country of all. I did not. But now I'm honored and privileged for myself, an American. But it didn't come easy. You know, I was working 2 to 3 jobs to pay for my education at IU, at Purdue, serving in the military. And when I came back, you know what I did? The first person that I called was Tad Rokita. I said, Tad, what can I do to learn from you in your office? He gave me the opportunity to learn. And when my time came to an end, I put my 2 weeks notice and I said, thank you for the opportunity. So you know why I tell you this? Because I have a humble beginnings. So I will never let anyone to smear my good name. I have not done anything wrong. And I'm proud of every single accomplishment I have done in my life. So when people start smearing your name, rather than focusing on the true issues, which is protecting our elections, you know, I have no time for that. I am going to continue to focus on my policies to protect our elections. But in order to set the record straight, some of you got a letter that was sent from Tad Rokita. In fact, I carry the original letter that he sent me, stating to all of you that I led his office in good terms, that we crisscrossed all 92 counties together, that I learned from him, that he even learned from me. That's his message. If you want to listen to the smear campaign, it's up to you. But I have nothing to apologize because I have not done anything wrong. You know why I tell you this? Because when I came to America, you know how much English I knew? Zero. No one has given me anything in my life. No one. And I don't expect them. So guess what? As I continue to crisscross all 92 counties, putting 75,000 miles in my car, raising over $500,000, I feel very proud because I'm earning every single delegate's support. But I'm going to talk about the issues that matter today. So it's up to you. You know, at the end of the day, whatever the outcome will be on Saturday, June 18th, I'm going to be happy. And I will continue to move on with my life. Because it's never been about me. It's always been about you and repaying my debt of gratitude to Indiana and America that has given me everything. That's it. So I want to thank you. I'm going to be staying here after our speech. Ask me any questions. But make no mistake, I will never apologize for something that I have not done. And I say this respectfully. I will let the establishment in Indianapolis who is doing all of this, I will let them continue their case. They don't want to mess with the infantrymen. I serve this country honorably, and I've been focusing on a positive campaign since day one. You are witness to all of that. So thank you for your time. God bless you all, and let's continue to protect the greatest country on earth, the United States of America. Thank you.
My name is David Shelton. I currently live about 12 miles south of Vincennes, 4-hour drive straight down 41 from here. I live with my wife Rachel, where we're raising our 5 children. We're not Catholic, we're just crazy that night. My oldest one is graduating high school later on this month. He's also on the ballot this year. He's running for a township advisory board. My son, really proud of this, youngest person on the ballot in the entire state this year. Really proud of that. He's also if I get at least one vote and not get skunked. He's 18. I am currently the elected Knox County Clerk. I am an election administrator. Just ran another election 2 weeks ago. First one as a vote center. Call me old-fashioned, but I feel the top election official in the state should have actual hands-on election administrative experience. One of the main reasons I'm running. I know that the county clerks are the first and last lines of defense when it comes to our elections. When you first become a county clerk, you don't get any formal training. You're expected to rely on somebody from your office, another county clerk. The saying is there's 92 ways of doing elections in Indiana. It's the truth, it really is, because different people teach it different ways. We need to have standardized training. I want to implement an election boot camp for new clerks. Give them that hands-on training. Especially if you're new to the office, elections are an absolute foreign language. You can't learn anything by watching a PowerPoint presentation. You can't learn anything by reading a step-by-step instruction. I want to give the clerks the tools they need to run our elections. To me, to my clerk family, election integrity it's not a campaign catchphrase. It's not. It's something I live and breathe every single day. In fact, just yesterday, Knox County Superior Court won a change of plea hearing. That gentleman tried to vote my election in 2020 3 times. He pled guilty. He has a felony conviction now. Now that's a moral victory, but it's very hollow because he was sentenced to a suspended sentence. Win, lose, or draw, I'm going to go to the State House, and I've already talked to the members of both the House and Senate election committees. We need to have enhancements to the penalties of committing voter fraud. That guy can register right now, but because it's considered time served. I'm going to push through there where if you're convicted of voter fraud, you're going to be disenfranchised for 10 years. Will not participate in elections for that period of time. It's that important because if you don't have faith in our elections, how the hell can you have faith in our elected officials? I'm sorry, it's just the way it is. Like Diego said, there's issues with the BMV. I've got those specifically identified. Also, I want to work on standardized poll worker training. I thought it was my idea to standardize that. Turns out there's been a law on the books since 2012. I see that 3-11-14-14. Maybe it's 3-11-11-14. I forget. It's one or the other. Anyway, so the statute that authorizes the Secretary of State to provide training materials for poll workers. You can actually become a certified election day worker through the Secretary of State's office. This never been fully implemented, probably never funded. So that's another thing I want to do. On that voter fraud case, I documented everything. I analyzed the evidence, and I completed a written report and gave it to the police department. They didn't even investigate any further. They took my written report verbatim and used it as the affidavit of probable cause. And that seems a little different coming from just a lowly county clerk, but I've also been a private investigator for well over 20 years. I'm currently licensed in 3 states. I am a fraud investigator. So when it comes to stuff like that, I know how to investigate. The other side is what I saw, security fraud investigations. I'm already a fraud investigator. That's right, my wheelhouse. Auto dealership issues, business licensing, that investigative experience, that set of skills will allow me to sift through multiple layers of information and disinformation, get to the facts of the matter, and then and only then can you make the best informed decision on any issue at hand. I don't know where I am on time, trying to be brief, but I will be hanging around here and be happy to answer any and all questions. Again, my name is David Shelton, and I'm Under Secretary of State. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for your time and attention. Thank you for hosting this. I truly appreciate when county leadership puts together groups like this and has the opportunity for delegates to come together. I'm Holly Sullivan. I'm your 62nd Secretary of State. It's an honor to be back up in Lake County, and I have the privilege of being here today for the official side of the job as well at your Northwest Indiana Auto Association meeting, speaking at their dinner tonight. You have an amazing group of auto dealers in your community as well, and it's an honor to serve. I wanted to share with you how I go about. I met with many of you at the beginning of this meeting, and many are first-time delegates, so thank you for serving our party in that fashion. And you're here for some education, so the way I hire is I learn what the job description is, and then I learn about how those that are running for the office are qualified. And the job description as your Secretary of State is your Chief Elections Officer, administering all of the election code. The election code book is about this thick, and it is passed by our legislative branch of government. And my job is to enact that into all 92 counties as your Chief Elections Officer, and to take the lead on transparency and education across the state on the elections process. And the other part of the job is 3 forward public-facing divisions that I get to run daily, and every Hoosier in some way is impacted by the Office of Secretary of State every day. The Business Services Division is where every business starts with the state of Indiana, the InBiz portal. So if you've ever been to inbiz.in.gov, that is our Secretary of State's website where everyone can start their own business. It takes 9 minutes or less. And we just had a record-breaking year in 2021 with the most business entities started in the state of Indiana in modern history, with 100,000 Hoosiers starting their own small business in our state. So quite an honor to work with each of those business owners and their compliance to start their business. The other aspect is the Auto Dealers Division. That is where we work with all 5,000 auto dealers across the state of Indiana, and we partner with them in a way in which we help them stay in compliance with state and federal regulation, but we also partner with them in how they work with our manufacturers across the state. My background is auto engineering. I'm an industrial engineer by degree, and that's the division that I work with the most in my private job as the quality manager of Toyota in Princeton, Indiana. And then the third forward-facing division is our securities division, where all white-collar crime and investment fraud is investigated, prosecuted, and then we take those investigations, most of the time partnering with the FBI and Center for Cyber Security, and we take that investigative information, we turn it into education, and every day protect Hoosiers with investment literacy education so that we can help Hoosiers protect themselves from the rising predatory activity in our state of investment fraud. And that comes with cryptocurrency and other avenues of cyber attacks and new predator tools in their tool bag, and the way that they're trying to fraudulently prey on Hoosiers. So as your Chief Elections Officer, that's what you'll hear about the most in the news, as you should, and that's the top priority of the job. So I've been your Secretary of State for 15 months now, 14 and a half. It's quite an honor, and we just had a very successful primary 2 weeks ago. So now, but looking forward, and it's exactly how you have to protect elections, is forward thinking. We are continuing to increase securities and transparency around elections. So if I were you, I would ask, what have I done for you to protect your vote in the last 15 months as your Secretary of State? And we have partnered, and we have had much success in doing that. So in the state of Indiana, we have national recognition for being one of the top states in election security and how we administer that agree with what you heard. Our clerks are the main tool to how you interact with our elections process. But you have to know that your chief elections officer is who is also in charge of your cybersecurity for all 92 counties, and our legislature just approved my plan for another 8 years of funding from the state level to ensure all 92 counties have the opportunity to partner with me and increase securities around cybersecurity for our elections, and that's important to keep your voter rolls safe. I would tell you though that it's also extremely important that we daily maintain voter lists, and as soon as I got into office, we did exactly that. We cleaned up the voter rolls. I have a couple numbers for you. We had 11,244 voters in Lake County that were removed from your vote roll from not being adequately informing the state of your status, your voter status, so now they are inactive. We also just got some information on your last primary vote. I would tell you that you had 13% turnout in Lake County, so that's down. You're a little bit lower than you were in 2012 as far as complete voter turnout, but the successful thing, and we've talked about that with many of you here tonight, is that we have more Republicans in our county, in your county, turn out for the vote than we did in prior primaries. So I want to applaud you for all the grassroots that you are doing in the party to make sure you have voter turnout, especially in a primary, and hiring extremely well. I share that because it's extremely important with the Secretary of State's race. Whoever wins the Secretary of State's race in November, the R or the D, in your county, in every county in the state of Indiana, it impacts your vote locations, your vote centers in your county. It's who the inspector's party is. So Republicans get to be inspectors of the counties in which hire a Republican Secretary of State. And you also have your names on the ballot first if you hire a Republican Secretary of State. So I shared those stats with you because it's extremely important to partner with you in your local county to increase the grassroots of the Republican Party so we can continue to increase our turnout in those counties as we work towards November together. So I appreciate that. I also wanted to ask for your vote specifically to be able to stay in this role as your Secretary of State and maintain the working relationship that we've built over the last 14 years. I know I'm getting close to my time, and one-on-one questions are extremely important, so I would ask that you keep in touch with me. Many of you, we've already had many phone conversations or in-person conversations, so you have my cell phone number, but the pamphlet in front of you has a code on it that you can scan with your phone, and you can get straight to my email that way and ask any question at any time. Thank you for your time and attention tonight. It's an honor to be here with you.
Okay, so I have to make a comment about that treasurer over in Illinois. So, you see the cowboy boots, they're not for show. I'm a horseman, I race horses. I don't have those kind of horses, I have half a dozen, so, but I will tell you a little saying we have in horse circles. You know the quickest way to make $1 million with horses?
Start with 2 million.
Start with 10 million. Absolutely, that is it. So obviously, she started with 50 million. You know, she had a good start. So let's talk about serious stuff. My name again is Daniel Elliott. I am the county chairman, so I'm Dan's counterpart down in Morgan County. I'm also the president of the Redevelopment Commission, which is going to come into play here in a minute when I talk a little bit more. But first, before I go into why I'm the person best qualified for this job, I want to tell you a little bit about who I am and where I come from. You see, I didn't grow up in a fancy house. I didn't have any political connections. I grew up in southern Indiana, almost the Ohio River, in a very, very poor family. And I remember one time when I was about 11 years old, I was helping my dad push a wheelbarrow full of cement. See, I didn't get to go to Little League. I didn't get to do scouts because I had helped my parents. And I remember at 11 years old, I'm like, there's no way I want to do this the rest of my life. And I said right then and there, I'm going to college. Now, of course, that's easier said than done when you come from a disadvantaged home, but I'm a fighter. And I fought, and I kicked, and I did what I needed to do, and I was the first LA to ever graduate college. I'm fortunate that I married an amazing woman, Laura, and we have our 4 children, which we're raising in our farm in Morgan County, so I didn't stray too far from rural Indiana. And I'm also very fortunate that my daughter Jessica took a year off college to come help me on this campaign. So I'm very, very blessed. And in this time, I got involved in Morgan County, I got involved in politics. County chairman, became a county councilman, president of the redevelopment commission. And I learned something. I learned that every time I come to an event like this, usually sitting down or helping organize it, politicians will get up here and say to us, trust me, I'm a conservative. And we'll send them to DC, and we'll send them to Indianapolis. And then we're like, I think your definition of conservatism and mine is a little different. Now I'm telling you here today, I'm the conservative running for this race. It's a bold statement after what I just said. Well, let me show you instead of just saying it. First off, in previous races that I've run for, I have been endorsed by Indiana Right to Life. I've also received the highest ranking from the NRA. I've received endorsements from pro-conservative business groups. I even received endorsement from Indiana Family Institute. But I'm also going to tell you about something a little more recent, because it's really easy to get up here and rag on DC and Biden, because, hey, no, it's not Biden. But sometimes we have to fight fights with our own people. So a lot of you are first-time delegates. How many of you are first-time delegates? That is awesome. How many of you were delegates in the past, especially in 2018 in Evansville? Those of us were actually smaller in this number. This is actually unusual. So I got to tell you the story. Back in 2018, some folks in Indianapolis decided, you know what, this Republican platform, it's too controversial. We're going to remove something from it that just isn't quite right. And that was, we're going to remove support for traditional marriage out of the platform. You guys remember that? Yeah. And of course, as a county chair, I started asking questions. And I was told to shut up. This country boy's not very good when telling me to shut up, folks. So I pushed back. And eventually found out that they were going to strike that from the platform. And only in a few days before the convention. So I said, well, I'm calling for a floor vote. Because the nice thing about being county chair is you know how the process works. So when I said that, I really sincerely thought that I was going to stand alone. If it was me alone, that's fine. I believe in the importance of marriage between a man and a woman. Now, fortunately, I found out that there's a whole lot of conservatives across the state. It was an overwhelming vote. But here's before that vote, I want to point out something. When I thought I was standing alone, suddenly Dan and other folks, Mike and other folks said, wait a minute, we're with Daniel. And we had a vote, and it wasn't a 50-50, 60-40, 80-20. It was huge. They wouldn't even count. It was that big. So my point to you is when I say I'm a conservative, you know I'm a conservative. When I say I'm a fighter, I am a fighter. That is not a joke. I will do it. I have done it. But does that mean I'm the right guy for this job? Well, the treasurer office does a lot more than people realize. Yes, you're the chief investment officer in charge of $9 billion worth of investments. But most of those investments, the policies are decided by the state legislature. Okay, it's going to be one here very soon. So they decide the policy, treasurer executes it. But there are also other parts that integrate highly with local government. Indiana Bond Bank, Trust Indiana, 911. All these are programs that work with local government. That's where my background is. Sorry, folks, I'm not trying to tell. I think we got to get beyond this idea that Indianapolis should be telling all of us what to do.
Right.
I believe that we need to send people from outside of Indianapolis to Indianapolis. Now I'm going to tell you something. I'm not coming in here here just saying, hey, I'm a conservative, I want your support. I've done things. As a county councilman, I brought broadband to my county. As president of the redevelopment commission, which I am right now, I was able to build roads, build parks. I'm the only person running for this office who's ever built these things. I brought in a sewer plant to an underdeveloped area. And believe me, it ain't sexy, but you try being in that community without it. I'm very proud of this. I stole a $600 million power plant from Indianapolis and put it in Morgan County, which means Morgan County has some of the absolute lowest property taxes in the state of Indiana. This is real work. Roll up your sleeves, get it done. And this is what we need in a treasurer. But I'm also going to throw one last thing in there and close with this, because he's standing up. See, I can see. Also, my private sector background. I own a software and cybersecurity company, so yes, Country Boys can coach you. And because of that, my background in cybersecurity, that makes me uniquely qualified to help us with these challenges we're facing right now. Our state financial assets, our infrastructure, they need protected. Because of my background in cybersecurity, I can go in day one. And the people who are coming after us, coming after our local governments, it's not some kid in mom's basement. It's Russia. It's China. They're well-funded. They're well-organized. And we need somebody day one to protect our investments. Because our investments are not just the dollars. It's the roads. It's the streets. It's the buildings. I got a lot of people have time. Thank you for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here this evening. I came over from Allen County. I live in Fort Wayne, Indiana. I'm going to do a little bit different this evening than I normally do on my speech. I'm going to start with my family and my background personally. And so I have 7 children. And unlike I think Mr. Shelton, who said he's not Catholic, I actually am. So I have 7 children, and my 11th grandbaby was born last month. So I have 11 grandchildren between a month old and 17, my oldest just graduated from high school. I'm very, very, very blessed. And so, pro-life, I have been an advocate for pro-life for many years. I have been endorsed by Right to Life in both my 2015 and my 2019 campaigns, and I've been instrumental in getting baby boxes in Fort Wayne, Indiana. The folks that started the baby box program are from Allen County, yet Fort Wayne did not have any. So our very first baby box was dedicated last Friday, and the second and the third ones we have contracts, and they should be up and running and dedicated within the next year. So I'm very proud of my work, pro-life. Work with Northeast Indiana Right to Life and also the Safe Haven Baby Box Program. I come from, as I stated, I'm Catholic. I come from a very conservative Catholic family. Girls didn't go to college. I put myself through college the hard way, going to working full-time, raising children and going to classes at night. I earned my Bachelor's of Science in Business Administration, and I earned an MBA degree. Where I gave the commencement address due to my accolades in that program, and I'm very proud. I worked the hard way for it. It was not given to me. And so I'm very proud of earning that. So I talked a little bit about my conservatism socially, and now I'd like to talk about my professional skills and why I have the right skills for the State Treasurer office. I am currently the Vice Chair of the Allen County Republican Party. And I'm also the city clerk of Fort Wayne. I ran for city clerk in 2015 for the first time and won with 65% of the vote and became the first Republican to hold that seat since 1971. 44 years it was held by the Democrats, and there was a lot of grassroots hard work to earn that seat. And I'm very, very proud of my record. In 2015, I became the first female Republican to ever hold the seat. So I'm very, very proud of that work and that race. And I re-ran in 2019 and won again. So I'm now on my 2nd term as city clerk of Fort Wayne. I've saved the taxpayers in Fort Wayne thousands of dollars. I oversee a department, which is parking enforcement, that lost money since its inception. Year after year after year, it ran in the red. Taxpayers in Fort Wayne were funding that division within the city. took office January 1st of 2016. We made $145,000 in 2016. We made $360,000 in 2017. And we made $389,000 in 2018. And we did that by looking at every dollar we spent to make sure it was a dollar that we had to spend. And we looked at every process to make sure that every dollar that was due to Fort Wayne was collected. And that's how we did it. A very conservative fiscal responsibility, and that's what it took to turn it around. And with the proceeds of that department in early 2018, we were able to put new parking meters in Fort Wayne, an $800,000 project, did not use a taxpayer dollar to do it. So I'm very, very proud of our record and our accomplishments as city clerk of Fort Wayne. I sit at the city council table, I handle all the legislative documents, legal documents that go through city council, and I also work with the budget and help pass that in October every year, and very, very proud of the work, the office that we have turned around and made very transparent, very effective, and very efficient. And I've done that for 2 terms. But prior to that, I was the chief financial officer for a national warehousing company, where I oversaw 4 corporations in 5 states, 18 locations, and hundreds of employees. I even oversaw their retirement plan with millions of dollars. And I say that because being the state treasurer, the chief investment officer, it's imperative you have someone who has experience with finances and experience with investments. Prior to being the chief financial officer for the warehousing company, I owned my own business. I owned a franchise, Deck the Walls franchise. It was an underperforming store for years. I bought it in 1988 and turned it around and made it one of the fastest growing stores in the district. I sold it in 98 after having children. For those of you who have owned a business, I bought it when I was single and when I had children. Working 90 hours a week, my priorities changed to my family, and so I sold the business after 10 years. Now all my children, my youngest is 24, I told you I have 7 of them, my youngest is 24, now out on her own. And after 2 terms of city clerk of Fort Wayne, you know, I have achieved everything in that position that I set out for, and for me it's about making a difference in the state that I love, in the state that I was born in. And so for me, I want a platform where I can do great things. And with my 30 years of finance experience and 7 years of government full-time experience as a city clerk, the 2nd largest city in the state of Indiana, I can walk into the chief investment office day one and make a difference for this state that I love, for my children, for your children, and future generations in Indiana. And that's what it's about for me, is making the next 8 years of my life the best professional years that I have done and given back to the state that I love very, very, very much. Likewise, our values, our conservative values, need to be heard in the State House. The State House has representation from Central Indiana, the Donuts counties in Central Indiana. And I'm the only one that's outside, the only candidate that's running that's outside of that area. Our values need to be heard in the State House. There's enough representation from Central Indiana there. And I would love to be the one to walk in with our legislators, our conservative legislators with like values like we share, and walk into the State House and make a difference in the state that I love and the state that you love for future generations to come. So, Chief Investment Officer, 30 years of finance experience, 7 years of government experience. I would love to have your vote as delegates at the state convention. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
It is wonderful to be here with you this evening, and I am pleased to share what we all know, living on this side of the border, that Indiana is an economic beacon to the nation. And I am running to safeguard and grow our financial assets, because for every dollar earned in interest, that's one less dollar needed in taxes, right? They think it's such a crazy idea in Illinois that we're receiving $125 each of us back as a tax refund. And that just goes to show that we've got good fiscal management. And as a state treasurer serving you next year at the State House, I will bring conservative fiscal management experience to the office. I serve as the president of the Boone County Council, and the Vice President of the Indiana County Councils Association. So I serve on that fiscal side of county government and manage a $51 million budget, all tax revenues and grants combined. And we stretch those dollars as far as we can to meet the needs of taxpayers. Boone County is one of the top growing counties in population in the state of Indiana. From the census last year to this year, we grew 25%. And we've been able to be innovative and stretch those tax dollars to keep our property tax rate at one of the lowest rates among the 92 counties in the state, if not the lowest. I also want to offer an example of how I will fight for you, the taxpayers. In Boone County, our assessor came to us and said, we've got a large, big box corporation that's coming to us and saying that they want to have a discount of 50% of their assessed value. And we can't do that because then their tax burden would be shifted onto families and small business owners. So we decided to fight this in the courts, and we won. We defended taxpayers because at risk was about $7 million of assessed value. And that would have pushed everyone else's rate up. And we won big. The courts assigned their value to be about $1 million more. And what it is it stopped this dark box theory from proliferating through the courts and through the counties. It was an unfair tax advantage for one property class that meant more taxes to be paid by the rest of us. And that's the kind of fight that I will bring to the State House as your next state treasurer. I also served in economic development for the state of Indiana. You all remember Mitch Daniels when he came along. I was fortunate to serve on his economic development policy team, and we revamped how economic development operated in the state of Indiana. And it has been on a very positive trajectory of Indiana being a top state attracting job growth and capital investment. And that's another significant reason, certainly why Indiana is an economic beacon to the nation. And then privately, my husband and I were very fiscally conservative ourselves. And we made it a goal for ourselves early in our married life to save every year and to invest in one property. And by God's grace and good old hard work and discipline, we were able to do that. We have been able to do that. So I'm involved in everything from the acquisitions to the financing to the business management. Now, the real rallying cry on why I'm running for state treasurer is all around us. In the last 16, 17 months, we have lost so much of America first. And so now we've got to stand for Hoosiers first. There are very egregious encroachments on our economic freedom that's coming from the Biden administration. If you'll remember back in the fall, they proposed that even minor banking transactions be reported to the IRS. No way. That's one of the largest infringements on our personal banking and privacy in the history of this nation. Another example, now through the United States Department of Labor, they are proposing that pension funds by default be invested in these woke ESG funds. So E stands for environment, pushing the Green New Deal. S stands for social, pushing social justice and critical race theory, and G for governance. These funds come with higher fees, and they're promoting their left-wing agenda over return on investment. And this goes directly against the core responsibility of the state treasurer, which is fiduciary duty. The state treasurer serves as the sole trustee of the Indiana State Police Pension Trust and also serves on the board of IMPERS, which is the Indiana Public Retirement System. So for the sake of our state teachers, our state police and our teachers and our hardworking public employees, we've got to stand up for them and make sure that we get the highest rate of return on those hard-earned dollars that they've been stowing away for retirement. All right, a couple of the programs that interface with our lives on a daily basis. How many of you have been involved in College Choice 529? Saving for your children, saving for your grandchildren. Yes. Me too. So my husband Chris and I, we have 4 children. They range in age from 22 to 15. So next year's the year when 3 will be in college at once. So we've been bracing for that year for quite some time now. But I do believe it's time to rebrand the program, because the name in and of itself is very limiting as far as how these funds may be used, when in actuality, They may be used for trade or technical school or even K through 12. So let's give it a new name, something like Bright Future 529, and ask the legislature to partner with us to put a big marketing push behind it so that we let every Hoosier family know you don't have to know the future educational route of your child when they're born. Invest yearly and often and give them the gift of a great nest egg through compounding interest and tax advantages so that when they turn 18, they've got the opportunity to pursue post-secondary education, and with more learning comes more earning. And I do believe that this is the opportunity where we can infuse the culture of life through one of the programs of the state treasurer's office. Okay, I see you're standing there. Because let's market this program to the parents of those yet to be born. Because if you're a mama like me, life goes crazy when you bring that baby home from the hospital, right? And if you don't have everything prepared in place to set up your college choice or your Bright Future 529 ahead of time, you might not get it done until maybe they're in kindergarten. So let's promote it to the parents of the unborn. And in doing so, we are stating that the state of Indiana believes in the promise of even the very youngest of Hoosiers. And just to piggyback on that real quick, I'd like to bring Jumpstart savings accounts to the state of Indiana, work with the legislature. These are tax advantageous savings accounts for the purchase of tools and equipment for those entering into trades. And lastly, I'll leave you with this. Let's go big. I'm going big. Go big with me to promote financial literacy among Hoosiers, especially among our emerging adults, so that they understand the power of budgeting and saving and investing. What is compounding interest? How can it work magic for you or be completely debilitating to your personal finances? What about a credit score? Why is it important? See, these are the tools that enable emerging adults to become financially independent and contributory. And when you are financially literate, there is a big side benefit. The light goes off, and you understand why socialism never works. So, thank you. Delegates, I ask for your vote. I believe in the genius of the best principle of the United States of America and the great state of Indiana. God bless.
Good evening, everyone. All that stands between you and the end of the agenda is the next 30 minutes in which I will speak.
Actually, no, because see, I won't stand up, I'll just walk over.
I know. I will keep it as brief as I can. My name is Pete Seent, and I'm running for Indiana State Treasurer to educate and empower Hoosiers to invest in themselves. Because the more personal responsibility we take as individuals and as communities, that's the less we depend on government to bail us out when times get tough. As mentioned, I'm a born and bred Hoosier from right here in Lake County. In fact, half-mile south at the corner of Joliet and Broad is the Serbian Orthodox Church where my parents got married and where I was baptized. I am the only child of immigrant parents, dad from England, mom from what was then Yugoslavia. She celebrated her 51st anniversary of coming to America just last month with the same meal she had after landing in the States, Kentucky Fried Chicken. There's nothing more American. I'm a member of what I like to call the now generation. I'm 38. I'll be 39 at the end of this month. Some folks say we're the next generation. I find that offensive. There's nothing next about Americans my age, and particularly conservatives my age. This is our time to stand up, to say we don't just want to be a part of the process, we don't want to just be part of the conversation, but we want a seat at the decision-making table. We don't have to have all of them, we don't need all of them, we're not entitled to all of them, but we should at least be at the table. Because if we're doing things right, if we're making investments, what are those other than wise decisions that we're making today that are about the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years down the road? Where either we will realize the promise of those decisions, or we will suffer the consequences. So we should be a part of that process. We should be part of those decisions. I've never run for office before. I'm the only candidate running for state treasurer who's never run for office before until now. But I have been uniquely tested at the state, national, and international levels. I was a spokesman to then President George W. Bush in the White House at the age of 24. I've held similar roles for candidates up and down the ballot here in Indiana. I've made a combined 100 plus appearances between CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, and Newsmax. Over 100 plus times going on live national cable news to promote and defend Republicans and hold the other side accountable, including times when some of our friends, not that long ago, weren't taking the calls. I was picking up the phone and going to the studio to make sure the right side of the story was being told. Now, some folks say to me, well, that's non-traditional experience for the chief investment officer. You know, don't you have to be a dispassionate money manager with an accounting degree? No. I think my experience is in perfect alignment with what the job actually is. Chief investment officer is not narrowly defined. In reality, it's chief investment educator, an advocate, and champion. It's a job that requires a leader with a compelling vision, a leader with an actionable plan, a leader who is passionate, persuasive, inventive, and knowledgeable. Passionate about this office. Not just office, we've got enough of that. Passionate about this office, wanting to serve in this office, understanding that this office is important to the lives of Hoosiers and the life of this state. Persuasive, someone who can communicate with any audience, any type, any age group, any demographic, anywhere in the state. I've proven that I can do that. These programs that have been mentioned tonight by my friends and competitors are useless if nobody knows they exist. And a large part of the job of being the elected official is being the face and the voice of the office, is developing that vision, building the team around you to execute that vision, and making sure Hoosiers know about the tools and resources at their disposal that they can use to invest in themselves. Inventive. Having a plan. I'm not asking you to just trust me that I'll show up and figure it out. I'm asking you to trust that I have a plan and I have a direction in mind for the next chapter of the Treasurer's Office. So I invite you to go to peteseat.com/plan. It's all right there. We have the actionable steps that we want to take to strengthen and improve 529 and ABLE and the statewide 911 program and Trust Indiana and the Indiana Bond Bank. I could go on and on. But the one that I want to highlight for you is unique to any campaign running for this office, and that's retirement. We have got to put a laser focus on getting more Hoosiers to save for retirement. There are over 1 million of our fellow Hoosiers right now today who don't have access to a 401k at work. We've got to change that. We've got to get them to save, not just for their benefit, but for the benefit of every single taxpayer in this state. Because they end up becoming a burden, a financial burden on us as taxpayers. There was a study not long ago that showed the bottom 40% of income earners in this state, if they saved just enough to have another $1,000 a year in retirement income, that's $20,000 to $30,000 more in their retirement. It would save Hoosier taxpayers over the course of 12 years $55 million. That's real money. We have got to focus on this and change the tide and get more Hoosiers to save for retirement. And the final piece, knowledgeable. I will never pretend that I will know everything on day one or at the end of year one or even the end of term one. You're always learning something on the job, no matter who you are, no matter where you work. But I've taken the time when not driving myself around the state, going to nearly 250 events so far on the campaign trail. I've taken the time to learn everything I can about the office. There's still plenty more to learn. Not just for myself, but also for all of you. And you can learn some of what I've learned by also visiting the website, peteseat.com. At the bottom, you'll see a video series called The Diversified Portfolio. Short, 3 to 5 minute videos explaining what the Treasurer's Office actually does. The various boards and commissions that the Treasurer sits on. The permissible legal investments that the Treasurer can make. How the 529 program works. We've got more videos to come. Because I think it's incredibly important that as you decide who you want to be the nominee for the Republican Party for treasurer, that we all understand precisely what the job does. So I invite you to check it out. I ask for your vote at convention. I would be honored to earn your support at convention. Thank you for welcoming me back home. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Congratulations for all of you that made it as a delegate. I can't remember a time that we've ever had this many candidates to be a delegate. So we love that enthusiasm that's coming out. Congratulations. If you have paid your dues, thank you. If you have not, I'm not asking you to raise your hands, but if you have not paid your dues, get it done. You can still do that. You're going to go to the state GOP website, indiana.gop, scroll down to the blue and gold logo that says 2022 State Convention. You're going to click on it, scroll down to pay your delegate fee, click here, pay your $100 delegate fee. So if you haven't done that, please do. On the same page, you can also pay for a guest fee. The guest fee is $60. So if you have someone that wants to come with you, that they will not have the ability to vote as a delegate, but they can join you for some of the convention festivities. So that's a $60 fee for that. You can register for them for that on the same page. Book your hotel. If you haven't booked your hotel, do it immediately. I've heard that the hotel prices are rising, in some cases as much as $100 a night. So if you haven't gotten that done, please get that done right away. Where we have blocks for the convention are Embassy Suites, JW Marriott, and the Westin. So make sure you get that done. Doesn't mean I broke it. Sorry. It doesn't mean you have to stay there, but those are the ones that the state party has blocks for. So the convention, 2 days. Friday, June 17th. Credentials you can pick up on Friday at the Crown Plaza. If you've been to convention before, you know the famous hospitality suites. Those are all going to be at the Crown Plaza this time. They're not going to be at the State Fairgrounds where the convention itself is going to be held. So Friday night, look for the hospitality suites there. Credentials will open at 9 a.m. and they will stay open until 8 p.m. If you don't travel down to Indianapolis much, remember there is a time change. So it's an hour later down there. You are responsible for your own transportation. I haven't found anything from the state party or any of the hotels yet that say they're providing transportation to and from either the Crown Plaza or to the convention on Saturday. So Saturday morning, if you haven't got your credentials yet on Friday, they'll open at 9 a.m. to get your credentials Saturday morning. It's about a 15-minute drive from downtown. You're responsible for that transportation yourself again. It's at the Indiana Farmers Coliseum at the state convention, the state fairgrounds. We'll have more information for you on that. The convention itself, they'll call that into session at 10. So the doors are going to open at 9. They'll call the convention into session at 10. In that hour, if you didn't get your credentials on Friday, you'll need to pick them up Saturday morning. So if you have time to head down to the Crown Plaza sometime Friday, go ahead and get that done. It'll make it a little bit easier. They'll adopt the rules right at the beginning and then go into, we've heard from a lot of our candidates tonight, Secretary of State, Auditor, and Treasurer. Are you going to talk about the county website? Okay, so the county website, if you want to get more involved, lakecountygop.us. At the top of that website, you're going to see subscribe. That's where you can go if you would like to subscribe to the monthly newsletter. You'll get information about all the upcoming events, special events, things like that. There's also a Get Involved button. If you want to become more active in any one of the campaigns, click on Get Involved. They'll ask you, there'll be some check boxes to see how you want to do that. So welcome. Thank you for your participation. If you want to get more involved, that's a great way to do it. And that's all I have unless someone else has questions about the convention itself. Now I'll pass it back over.
Thank you, Lan. I appreciate that. Important note, you need to pay your delegate fee by tonight. Tomorrow, so this is the last day you can pay that without having a strong likelihood of not being a delegate. So please pay that tonight. So last but not least, I want to introduce our great county chairman, Dan Jornell.
Does this work? You know what, I'm gonna just speak loud. My kids always said I had a loud voice, so I'm just gonna speak loud.
There you go.
First and foremost, we can't lose this year as it relates to our candidates. We have great candidates. Tara Klutz, I don't know, did Tara leave? I think she left the building because she had a little bit of a distance to go. But we also have Diego Morales, David Shelton, and Holly Sullivan running for Secretary of State. Just as an FYI, as it relates to the Secretary of State, we really would like to have a Republican, the Republican Secretary of State candidate win in the fall, so we can put our inspectors in. Right, Leanne? Wouldn't that be
We need
good?
to win in Lake County.
Lake County,
Why don't we
yeah,
win in
that's
Lake
right. So, yeah, for many years, it's been, you know, the Democrats, as long as I've been alive, but not longer. So please keep that in mind. We also have our treasurer candidates, Dan Elliott, Lana Kiesling, Elise Nishala, and Pete Seat. Thank you so much for running. And I don't know, I think Dan brought it up, but you know, the treasurer's office also takes care of the 911 stuff that is done. So you know, it's an extremely important role that they do. I just want to give you a couple of facts, and I'm going to get into a couple of things and hopefully complete within about 2 or 3 minutes. The last time, and I spoke about this at our Lincoln dinner. A lot of you were there, some of you were not. But the last time we had a Republican congressman was 91 years ago. Here, in comparison, my dad's 90. He has never seen a Republican congressman in District 1. Isn't that something? So, I mean, we really need to get behind Jennifer Ruth Green and make sure that she wins, along with all the other candidates for sure, right? I mean, you know, we all have coattails, and I think we can do quite well bringing everybody together. And we need to be behind whoever wins, whoever won the primary, and of course, whoever wins the delegates. The folks that are running in the delegate, do I have your word that you will support whoever comes out of the convention? Wonderful. You know, Mike Aurelio brought up some funny factoids as it relates to you know, what happens on our dysfunctional family next to us, the state that's next to us. But it's not really funny if you think about it. You know, the money that is the public's money is sacred. It's more important, I believe, than my own money. You know, I serve on the county council also, and it is extremely important. And when you start hearing people using that money unwisely and for their own benefit, I think it's unfortunate. You know, I was also talking to Tony Ferraro. Tony, raise your hand. Tony and I were talking before we started. One of the biggest concerns that we all have are our school board races. We need to get involved with the school board. You know, I see Rick Goldberg's here. He's been on the school board in Highland. If you want to run. We need good people to be on these school boards, because ultimately that's where it all begins. So please keep that in mind. And also, I saw a lot of new delegates that have never run, and new faces. Again, Tony and I talked about this earlier. Get involved. We need you. You know, being part of the convention and being a delegate is extremely important, but we also need grassroots support. And get online, as Leanne brought up, and just, you know, see who your local chairman is. We're always needing help, and if you you see this work and see us working, it's because we want to make this a better place. Rick Reifel was here. I don't know, Rick, are you still here?
He went to the bar.
Okay, he went to the bar. Yeah, he's in the bar. That's a good place. Rick Reifel and I started about the same time, about 24 years ago in this party. And one thing I will tell you, this party has grown, and now we're getting more and more people involved. It's because of good leadership like Rick Reifel, like some of the people, Al Slager, Julie Olthoff, Ron, your wife, and hopefully myself too. That we really want to make sure that the Republican brand is there. So please get involved. And again, we need everybody's support in the fall. This is extremely important. And on behalf of Andy Cornell, who's walking with a limp, I can tell, who's back there, who's our treasurer, Mike Aurelio, who's our secretary, Michelle Baker, and myself, this this local organization, the county organization, really looks forward to working with you. So please, don't just let the convention be part of what you want to do. Get involved. It's extremely important. Not just for Lake County, but for the whole country. Again, thank you very much for coming. Thank you for joining as a delegate or running